How are you today?
as you can tell. Doing all right, just dealing with life and trying to get this music video finished.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, Nick. All good here. So
Yeah,
good to
that's
see you.
good.
Good to
That's
see you
good.
again. Good
Yeah,
to
I
see you
know.
again.
Long time no see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for
So,
doing this.
my pleasure, mate. So Nick, your new single for 2026 Vessels was out on Feb 6. So, would you like to tell me a bit on the songwriting of Vessels and the work behind this single?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Vessel first came about in 2023,
Mm.
oddly enough. That's when I wrote it. I had just been to a big festival, a metal festival, and I just felt like I wanted to, write. Always feel inspired by live music, so I kind of came back home and just immediately started writing, and kind of finished the demo within a day, and then it just got put on the back burner. And then, yeah, I mean, it's because come to think of it, yeah, it was written before, the deluxe edition of the first album and all of this stuff. So, it's interesting to finally release it. Because yeah, it's been in the works for so long, and I kind of went back in early January and brushed it up a little bit, and then made the official studio version. And yeah, it feels like the right time to release it though. So yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And does Vessels focus on some kind of theme or a storyline?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It does. Vessel's kind of I guess I would say it's about, I keep mentioning in social media, I keep mentioning like economy,
Mm.
and so basically the idea behind that is just, how influencers and these micro celebrities online kind of take people's stories often and represent them as their own in order to get attention or to, gain corporate sponsorship so they can get paid and get more followers, and it's kind of just about like being that kind of empty being that just takes and takes and takes, just so that they can, become someone's obsession because, someone might think, oh, you have the same traumatic experiences that I do. So, I have to follow you, to the ends of the earth. So, it's about being that person. So the song is really from that perspective of that person. Hence why a lot of the lyrics are very kind of self-important and self-serving in a way.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And speaking on Vessels, like I have to say, it's an amazing song and great work behind it.
Oh, sorry, Keith. I
You lost
I
me.
I think
Okay,
you.
okay.
Sorry.
So speaking on vessels, I really love this song. A great song, work, great
Thank
work
you.
behind it. Almost gave me the feel like it took me back to the time when Downward Spiral, the amazing Nine Inch Nails came out back in the days, and
Thank you.
I was a
Wow.
teenager. This it used that kind of feeling to me. So thanks for
Thank you
putting.
so much.
You're welcome, mate, and thanks for putting up an awesome single this year. And being a creator,
Yes.
how do you feel about the release of results?
Like I said, it feels great to finally release it. You know, we released our song Whole back in 2023, I think it was, early 2023, and that really was supposed to be the beginning of this album cycle that we're sort of ramping up for our album that I wrote back in quarantine times. I wrote a concept album about a dictator. I may have mentioned it actually in the last interview. And we finally just decided that now was the right time to release everything because with the way that, politics are in the world and we're seeing the rise of so many dictator-like figures, even if they're not
Yeah.
officially calling themselves that. Um, and so, we just thought, okay, now it's the right time. This is the time to do it. So that's, I guess that is now what Vessel is going to be. It's the kind of like starting point, the jumping off point of that album called End of Eden. Um, and the plan currently is to release three cycles if you will. So it'll essentially be like three EPs over the span of about a year and a half, and then finally the album will come out with some extra tracks attached. And yeah, so that's the plan. So it feels good to finally like get that ball rolling for sure.
Fantastic, fantastic. And are you working on an official music video for Vessels?
Yeah, yeah, it's been a that one's been a journey as well. We shot it. We shot one day in January and one day in early February, and I have been editing it ever since. And it's been an interesting kind of mental journey for me as well because I do all the editing on the videos and all the effects just because I really enjoy doing it. But I've kind of, tried to ramp it up this time and make it even more cinematic and I think it's turning out pretty well, but I have a lot of work to do over the next couple of days. So
Amazing, amazing. And
yeah,
and you also said this will follow up with three EPs over the year, and it's gonna come out it as a full-length album, probably 2027. So
yeah, yeah,
you also stated that it is gonna be a concept album. So
yeah,
does this album focus on something specific? Like, are you will you share some details with me?
yeah. No, yeah. It's yeah, no. It's going to be essentially. I've always had a fascination with trying to empathize as much as possible with a villain or someone that we view as a villain.
Mm,
Even if I find what they do to be disgusting or horrible, I always try to find that kind of common ground because it's interesting to me to see how they became what they became, and I think it's important also to learn that about these leaders, if you will, these dictators and people that run like fascist regimes. It's like, how did you become this person? Because I don't believe that anyone is innately that. I think it's you either have to be taught that from a young age or something had to have happened. So that's basically the album is just about how that happens, and so it's going to follow the story of this character who becomes a dictator just for the sake of destroying things because of feeling slighted, by society, and because nobody was willing to kind of talk about it or look into like what was happening, um, and that's basically what it is. It's like what does a person become when they feel that they have this trauma or this people have beat them down and they won't listen, and what do you become when you can't put any trust in a single other person, and you start to hate everyone around you. So that's I guess the
mm.
overall concept.
Awesome, man, awesome. And when is the next single expected?
Well, that's a good question. I am working on one. I would say most likely it's going to be beginning of May.
Mm,
So there is a video coming, hopefully Friday. Uh, and then we have basically a remix EP, kind of the same way that we did Whole, that's coming out at the beginning of April or so. And then we'll kind of take a break, go back into the studio and
yeah.
really buckle down and record the next single. Although we know what song it's going to be. The demo is fully recorded, so it's just about going in and tracking the actual instruments and retracking vocals. But yeah, I think I can confidently say it won't take a couple of years like this single did. I think
Yeah.
it's just going to be probably in May.
Fantastic, fantastic. And your yearly releases like First Blood, the original release, remaster release, and then Hemophilia, it all came out amazingly good. Great work behind
Thank you.
those work. And comparing to that with this upcoming work, so how do you feel about the change of the music that you are creating?
Yeah, thank you so much for those kind words. Now that there has been space and time between myself and writing First Blood and Hemophilia and even Whole, I think it's now it feels, it sounds cliche, but it's like when you look back and you see your old work, and you're like, oh man, that could have been better. I still love, all of it really, because it's all representative of a time in my life and a time in bandmates' lives, and um, but I think now looking back, it almost feels like I was a kid then, in a way, even though it's only been a couple of years. But I think I've done a lot of growing and changing in the last couple of years, um, which I think is why I've been kind of silent a lot on, social media unless we're playing a show. But yeah, it's been more just about growing as a person, I guess. And so that's the lens that I'm looking through, I think now is it's, I've grown as a person. I've experienced things now that, put my entire life into a totally different perspective. And I think I've experienced things that I never thought I would, in both bad and good ways. So that is really, that's the lens that I'm kind of viewing life through. And I think that will help me, because I wrote this concept album in 2020, but I am going back, of course, with the band, and we're re-recording, and I'm kind of rewriting lyrics to fit where I am now a little more, a little better. And yeah, so it's going to be an interesting ride, I think.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
And do you work with a full-time band now, or do you have session musicians? So how things are working for you now?
Yeah, no, I do. I have a full-time band. We actually just kind of shuffled up the members, unfortunately. Uh, so it's been interesting, but I've had the current lineup for the last probably 6 months or so,
Mhm.
and we're just gearing up to play our first show all together, with this new lineup in April. So it should be interesting. They're really, really talented. I mean, everybody that has been in the band has been really talented, and I'm so thankful to have had them. But it's just this group that we have now, we just click so well. Um, Everybody kind of has their role that they're really, really good at filling out, and even in terms of personality. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. It's always sad to kind of say goodbye to people who have been in the band for a couple of years, or
Mhm.
especially if it's in a negative way, or if something bad happened that led to that. But yeah, it's just another chance for growth. So, or at least that's how I try to look at it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And speaking on touring, are there some big plans for 2026?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, I honestly, I truly don't know. I have been talking to another band about doing like another regional tour. I don't know if that will pan out this year, or if that would be something that we do next year. But I definitely want to get back out on the road. It's been a couple of years now. And I think, we've been kind of talking to a couple of labels labels or like distributors also that would potentially be able to fund a tour, or put us on a tour with another band that is already going on tour. So I'm also kind of waiting to see what happens with that, just because I don't want to plan something and then pass up a great opportunity in that realm. But I really hope to get back out on the road soon. It was so much fun, meeting so many interesting people from so many walks of life. We played in cities, and then we played in like really small towns. So yeah, it was great though. So hopefully we can.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And any highlights since we last spoke?
Oh man, there have been so many things. Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest one, which I cringe a little bit to put it in press releases, but I have been told that I should. Um, and it is an honor. We were the very last headlining band of Saint Vitus, which is a very very famous venue here, or it was. I was sad to see it go, but in a sense, very, very honored and thankful that they had us, and then we happened to be the last headlining band there. Um, so it's almost like you get bragging rights, but it's also really sad because I never want to see another metal venue specifically close. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and just a lot of a lot of lineup changes, a lot of building a better core audience in New York as well. So to just to make sure we have an actual following, so that when we release this album, people are going to listen. And we've had the chance to meet so many great people at the shows, and actually, come to think of it, there was another highlight. We got to play with some really great bands like Crippling Alcoholism, who was on tour, and that kind of also opened us up to a wider audience. And I think that show in particular was kind of a turning point, I think, for those of us that are in the band still. I think it was kind of a realization of there could be even more, and we should strive for more, and we should strive for to be better. Um, and I did also break my hand at that show.
Oh,
Yeah, and we still had two songs to play, so that was interesting. Break your hand and then still do the heaviest songs of the set,
yeah.
but it was a lot of fun, and the adrenaline got me through.
Interesting, man. Interesting. And are you currently signed up with any label or are you just working independently now?
Yeah, no, right now just independently. We did talk to a few, but I think unfortunately with the nature of the way things are in the music industry these days, I'm sure you know just as well as anyone who works in that industry, it's like the deals are really they want quite a bit, and I think it's more thus far, at least it's been more than I am willing to sacrifice for myself and for the band. Um, the percentages were not something I found to be fair. So, but the good thing I can say is that the labels that we had talked to were very much, full creative freedom. It wasn't a case of, you can't do this, you can't do that, or you should sound more like this band. It was just, they wanted quite a bit of anything that we earned, which is never it's never nice to see that when you're talking to a label and you get the response that this is what they want, and it's not something you're willing to do. But I feel lucky that we've even been able to talk to them, and had that possibility, because it was really, again, it was something you hope for those things, and then you don't ever really know if it's going to happen, even in terms of just talking to labels. So I'm thankful that we were even able to do that.
Fantastic, fantastic. And speaking on the music that you're creating currently and in the future, so speaking on the songwriting, so what are the kind of
Yeah.
topics or the themes that you will be focusing on?
Oof. Yeah. I started out when I was writing music, I started out writing very politically charged, or not even politically charged, but I guess very much about, I guess American society, but also with things being as, becoming more universal worldwide. I think it's now actually, thankfully, a lot of the things that I wrote are more relevant today than they were when I wrote them. So So it's good that we haven't released it yet, because it will be even more relevant, and feel even more, you know, on topic for the time. So I think a lot of it will be kind of a criticism of the way things are, and the way that people talk to each other, the way that people interact, and the way that people feel or seem to feel incapable of finding a common ground. Just based on things like who you worship, if you are religious, or who you wanted to vote for. And also, I think there's a lot of hatred that people feel
Yeah.
that stems from their anger, and indignation, where they feel slighted by society, and so they're just kind of lashing out, and so they're doing anything that they can to hurt those that they believe, or those that they perceive as hurting them actively. And so it's a criticism of all of that. And it's also criticism of just authoritarian regimes, and which have been around since the dawn of time. I'm sure that this album isn't going to do anything to change that necessarily, but what I would hope is that the themes that we approach in our music will at least kind of resonate with the normal people like us, and wake them up if they haven't been woken up, and kind of turn a mirror to them and say, hey, like this is what's happening right now. This is this, it's something that keeps happening, and we can't let it happen again. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And do you also work on some kind of merchandise for the band?
Yeah, yeah. We have some that we that we sell at shows. I just was laughing because I was thinking about, oh, that was another thing I need to finish doing over the next couple of days. Uh, but yeah, we I have designed a lot of new merch. We've been selling it at the shows, but definitely it's going to be online,
Mhm.
most likely Friday when the video comes out. Um, New merch for Vessel and also just for the band in general. Um, but yeah, definitely. I think I have been pestered quite a bit by my bandmates to design new merch, and so I think I should do that before they get angry at me.
Cool, very cool. And speaking on the release of Vessels and the reach, so how far has the song reached onto a global audience? And do you have kind of numbers on the or just an update on how much the song has gone into the world?
Yeah, to be completely honest with you, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, just because I get very anxious about it. But the first week it was out, I was very much, plugged in and in tune with that. And no, I mean, I was very happy to see that people from different places that I wouldn't have expected really were listening to it quite a bit, and it was also nice to see we have a couple of really big fans that we have a special connection with that have been following us since the beginning. And when you don't release music for a while, especially when they're in different countries or different states, you think, will they will they care? That kind of thought process starts to creep in. And it was so nice to see that they did care. And they were the first to comment and the first to
Yeah.
say something to us about it. And but yeah, no, it's been doing pretty well so far. And I'm also excited to see more people in the US listening to it
Yeah.
because interestingly enough, I think we had for the previous releases, it was more worldwide and not so much in our own country. So
Got it.
um yeah, so I'm glad that we have more people here listening as well. So
Cool, man. Cool, man. And Nick, finally, any message that you want to share with the fans around the world?
yeah. I guess stay tuned. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out. We are going to try to stick to the timeline for this album, although I do tend to vary ever so slightly here and there. But no, I definitely just keep an eye out. I mean, we plan to be consistently releasing stuff for the next year and a half at least. So we'll definitely be seeing quite a bit of everybody.
Mhm. Awesome, 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 Nick. And Nick, as always, it's a real pleasure to have you. And
Thank
it's
you.
nice seeing you and talk to you again. And I want to thank you so
Yes.
much for giving us vessels with the start of the year. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, a great song. Totally loving this. I know a
Thank
lot
you.
of people are loving this new single from you. And we all
Thank
looking
you.
for more great music that's as we plan to go to the throughout this year. And which
Thank
lead
you.
to the full-length album next year. So we're all waiting for the release, and I
Thank
wish
you.
you
Thank you.
all the best. And
Thank
really
you.
hoping someday we can meet on the road, Nick.
I know. I hope so too. I don't know if I ever asked where you are even.
I am from India.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would love to go there. So hey, I hope we can. I really hope we can.
Yeah, and even
Um,
though the magazine was started in Mississauga, I know it's in Canada, right? We started here in Canada, and it
yeah.
goes as a worldwide magazine. So we are pictured
Yeah.
in different parts of the world, but
That's so
regionally,
amazing.
like I'm focusing more on the work. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's amazing though. Yeah, I feel like even since a couple of years ago, I mean, it was already great and it was already doing so well, but I feel like it's grown even more. So congratulations on that, and thank you. It's an honor to be part of it in some small way, and to talk to you again. So I
Pleasure.
really appreciate it.
Thanks to you. And have a great rest of the evening, Nick, and we'll connect soon.
All right, you too. Thank you so much,
Take
Dee.
care. Yeah, take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye.